Well, I have another question. I'll follow up on the perception question. Something that Representative Jaquith said is, she was talking about the perception, and she said the way taxpayers that I represent see it, they're paying taxes and you aren't. What do you say to that? I mean, what's your response when you hear something like that?
Well, my response is, please read the letter that I just gave you, which identifies that, or which proves and verifies that I've paid $120,000 in income taxes in the last 5 years. And that it has been in the media that I have not been paying, and I've tried to correct that. But this letter that was issued by the CPA yesterday, I mean, I probably have about 30 hours of my time into collecting the records, getting them to him, meeting with him, and getting him to the point where he had been able to verify everything. And so it's easy to make an allegation, but it takes a lot more time to prove it. And I wish I could have got this out a lot more quickly, but it took time to get ready. And so I hope that you'll all report it. I hope that you'll make reference to this letter, and I hope that that perception that I haven't been paying is extinguished by the preparation of this letter.
There is still a remaining charge against you that the Ethics Committee will convene on later, and that has to do with invoking legislative privilege. You said just a moment ago that you want to be treated just like the average taxpayer, yet you're appealing for a much longer appeal period than anyone else would get because you're a legislator. How do you square that?
Well, with regard to that question, it's evident from the hearing that we just had that there are arguments on both sides, and that it's not, at least as far as what was presented today, it's not, it wasn't resolved in the committee. But I think if you look at the literature that's out there, and what I'm talking about are the legal authorities that have already weighed in on this question. We have 11 states that have very similar language in their state constitutions. There's several attorney general opinions, and there's quite a few court cases on that specific issue. And in every case, those court cases and those attorney general's opinions come down on the side of what my actions have been. And so I think I've got a very solid foundation there, and I think when this thing is ultimately resolved, it'll be resolved in my favor. Yes.
Representative, thank you. This was my first time at an ethics committee type of scenario, and what I've seen with the arbitrary nature of, and what quite frankly appeared to be a circus to me in many different aspects. I guess what I'm asking is, should we be concerned as citizens with, if this is the finest of what our legislature has, with the panel that you had, and the respect and stuff that we should have to them, and they make their legislative decisions like they had on you, with the ethics committee, should we be in danger? And if we shouldn't, why shouldn't we?
Well, I think the ethics committee has been overall a process that needed to take place. But I worry that my circumstances and what's happened with me, with the degree of media attention this has gotten, is going to discourage other people from running for office. I guarantee you there will be people who will be discouraged from running for office. We won't know who they are, but in my political activism, I've gotten on the phone a few times and tried to encourage people to run for office. And the number one issue that I hear as to why a particular person doesn't want to run for office is because they have something in their past they don't want to come out and be drugged before the public. And so I think, like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a third-party person or whoever. I think we are worse off if that pool of potential candidates shrinks. So I think we need to be really careful that there's balance to this, and that we don't misreport facts, and we don't have sensational headlines, and that maybe we do more homework and make sure that what's being put out there in the public is
But should we be
accurate.
concerned directly as citizens, not necessarily as legislators? I, for one, am going to run. That's going to be my delight to be able to do that. What I'm talking about, though, is the decisions that the legislature makes representing us as individuals. I feel like now, from what I've seen today, I feel like my liberty and things of that nature are a lot more in jeopardy because of their sort of arbitrary nature and their sort of. I believe this, and I'm uncomfortable, and you know, I never realized that comfort was really part of the law, but I guess maybe now it is. But I am really worried, and I'm concerned, and that's why I ran, because I want to run to, you know, to be able to assure people that, you know what, if we have a system that says that we are guilty because we have evidence, that's fine. But if I look like an axe murderer and I'm not, should I be guilty and charged as one? According to your ethics committee that almost, you know, that had your career in the balance, I would have been guilty. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying.
I'm nervous about it, and I feel more uncomfortable now about the Idaho legislature than I ever have. And
Well, we've got a lot of issues out there in the public. You know, tax reform is one of them, and that's an issue I've tried to work on. But you bring up another issue, and maybe this is something that you can champion over the next, you know, few years, and if you run again, that we maybe need some sideboards on this. Maybe we need a little bit clear guidelines of what constitutes the need to bring in an ethics committee, when we need to form an ethics committee, and so I think it's really an important issue, and I think the downside of what's happened here is we're going to have fewer people run for office. Yes.
What year was your book written?
2001.
The reason why I'm asking is because how many times have you been voted in?
3 times.
And that was after you wrote the book?
That was after I wrote the book.
So the likelihood that your voting district appreciated your perspective, that you may be accurately representing your constituency, it seems likely to me. Would you not agree?
Well, it's been out there in the public, and I've been on the radio dozens of times over the issue, and I've been in television a few times, and I've written articles about it, and it certainly isn't something that the public's not aware of or couldn't find out about if they wanted to. Okay, one more question. Betsy, my favorite.
The letter states, as you've said, that you've paid $120,000 in state and federal taxes in the last 5 years. And the other letter says that in the audit, the IRS has disallowed your business protections. Are you taking the position that you've paid everything you owed, even though the IRS and the state say you owe another $700,000?
If I get the business deductions back, that greatly reduces the so-called taxable income, and it also takes away a substantial amount of the penalties and interest that have been imposed. And also the $120,000 I have paid, not $1 of that has gone to reduce any of the lien amounts. And in fact, there are, I don't even remember, 2 or 3 years of liens where I actually paid those years. There was never a deficit, and there's some mistake on the part of the IRS that those even got included to begin with. But that is the crux of the battle that I'm fighting right now, and that has delayed me getting this wrapped up by at least 3 years. And the litigation over disclosing the people who bought copies of my book, that has delayed me from wrapping this up at least 2 years. And so I am 4 or 5 years down the road of where I should be had I been treated like an average taxpayer trying to resolve my issue with the IRS. And I don't complain about being audited. I mean, I did write a book about the income tax, and I understand that putting my head up above the crowd might draw that kind of treatment on me. So that was something that I actually expected to happen. But to also have to disclose who bought my book and potentially see the First Amendment rights of my readers violated and their Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights violated for an unreasonable searches or investigation on them, that was not a road that I could go down. And so I put myself in between my readers and the IRS and stood up for them, and that has drugged this thing out by 3, 4, even maybe 5 years. Okay.